A friend of mine, Chuck Whitman, he teaches people how to trade on the stock market and do different types of investing, and he has some extremely successful students, and he has some students that have seen good success as well. And I was at this mastermind that we're a part of, and he was doing a presentation for everybody, and he was showing the differentiation between the people who did extremely well and the people who did all right. And there was one really big factor. And if you've been watching my latest videos, you're probably going to know what it is. But I keep on stressing this over and over and over again, partially because I need to hear this as well, because it's such a powerful thing that's not really taught in school. It's not taught in religious circles. It's not taught anywhere. Even in business, most of the business classes or business masterminds are all about tactics and tactics and tactics and strategies and so on. So anyway, he's up on stage, and he shows two things that really hit me. The first thing was he showed all of these famous athletes, the ones that are on their prime right now. They are the ones that are the top of the top right now. All these famous athletes. And he says, you know what? Why they are the way they are? And nobody can answer. They just said dedication. They said, people would say, oh, well, they were persistent in what they did. They never gave up. They had a natural talent and so on. He goes and shows over and over and over again that each one of those athletes had a dad who was also a star athlete. Every single one of them. It was just boom, one after another, one after another, one after another. And he then goes and says, so here's my latest meetup that we had. He said at one of the meetups, at this particular meetup, I put the people who were making $500,000 a year and more on this side of the table. They didn't realize it. And then I put the people who were making $500,000 a year and less on this other side of the table. And they didn't realize it either. And after this dinner that they were having, he said, do you realize where you guys are sitting? And nobody knew. And he said, did I give everybody different things? Did you take one of my courses? Did you take this course that was different than this other person? No. Did you take the exact same training? Yes. Did you have the exact same amount of coaching? Yes. And he reveals that this half of the table had the exact same thing as that half of the table. Yet this half of the table was making $500,000 plus, sometimes sometimes 7, 8, or 9 figures. The other half was obviously 500,000 or less. But they all had the exact same training, the exact amount of time, the exact coaching, and so on. And once again, he said, do you know why you on the lower end are making what you're making, and you on the higher end are making what you're making? And the higher ends actually got that it was because of what they thought about themselves, how they saw themselves, how they envisioned what they would be making. Whereas the lower end were kind of more on the, I'm trying to do this to get by, trying to do this to leave my full-time job, trying to do this so that I can, not have to work in a cubicle, whatever it might be. And so when you see time and time again that the reason for success or failure, the primary reason for success or failure in whatever it is you're doing, is because of your self-concept, because of your mindset. When you see over and over and over again that is the primary reason why you are going to see success, your object should not be to resist that. Because it was interesting, he even said that the people on the lower end of the table were making more excuses, were making excuses, while the people on the other end, I'm going to go fast. Hold on. Okay, cool. Passed up this car that was blocking everybody. The people on the upper end completely agreed. And a lot of their background was they came from, they didn't come necessarily from rich families, but they had parents or they had people who told them they could be all that they could possibly be. The point of this is that if you want to change, if you want to be something, it could be a great athlete, it could be a great speaker, an entrepreneur, a physicist, whatever it is, you have to now, right now, start believing that you are. And at night, right before you go to bed, start imagining, use that beautiful imagination that you have to feel what it would be like if you were a successful physicist, a successful pro martial artist, if you were a 7-figure earner, a 10-figure earner, a billionaire. The more that you do that, you will see that the world will shift around and start to make that happen. It won't happen overnight. Well, I mean, it can, technically, but more often than not, it won't. I still remember laying down on my hardwood floor, imagining the amount of money that I wanted to make, imagining myself going to my computer, logging into my merchant processor, going in, scrolling down, and seeing what my monthly recurring revenue was going to be. And to the T. And keep in mind, I was barely making enough to survive. And what I wanted was about what was that? I don't want to give it fully away, but it was way more than 10 times what I wanted. So for me, it seemed completely out of reach. And to the T, I ended up making exactly that. And the funny thing is, I started doubting myself. I eventually started thinking, the imposter syndrome started coming and being like, well, how are you making that? Like, that you should be making that. And I started doubting myself. And what do you think started happening? I ended up losing about 50% of my revenue because of all those doubts. So what did I do? I ended up going right back to imagining it at the end of the night, at the end of the day when I'm in bed, the things that I wanted, the things that I knew if I had those things, that would mean that I'm making way more money than even what I'm making now, or what I was making when my imagination came true. And so, what's started to happen? The revenue started going up. All of my network of friends have become better and better and better. All of the people that are in my social circle are people who are striving more, who come from more of a powerful background. And I'm still, you cannot escape. You cannot escape your self-concept. If you feel like you are not worthy to have $100,000 a year, let's just say that, you're not going to get $100,000 per year. But if you can, at night, imagine what it would be like to have that, to have security, to have whatever it is that you desire, and really truly embody that, your life will begin to change. And I'm speaking like this because if you look at my older videos, I used to give so many tactics, so many different strategies, so many different things, and I started to realize that it's not really a good foundation. My main business is basically an outsourcing business where you can systemize your entire business and automate everything extremely easily. I found that when people just focused on the automating, they just focused on documenting all their systems and trying to create a business that worked without them. When they just focused on that, a very small amount would be able to do that. A very small amount of people would take advantage of the service in a way where they didn't have to ever work at all. Or if they did, it was only on creative stuff that they wanted to. And it was so frustrating to me because I'm looking at it going, dude, you have the keys to the Ferrari and you are still driving this 1985 Hyundai Sonata or whatever. Why are you not using what you have? You go and sit in the Ferrari and you go and you press with the dials and some things work and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then you go back to the Hyundai Sonata that breaks down every 30 miles. Why? And it's because they don't believe that they can have a business that works without them. They don't believe they can trust people. They don't believe they can build an organization. They don't believe that it's possible for them to only do the things that they want to do. And you might be thinking, oh, well, that's so dumb. I mean, that's so dumb. Why? You do it too. I do it too. And it's just with different things. It's just with different things. And nobody's to blame. This is how we were made. We were made to use our imagination to build the life that we wanted to. We were made to figure things out and to become, not to do. To do is a part of it, but to become. Like we always value, like think of these stories that we hear, that we love, The Matrix, or just even the classical fairy stories. They're always about becoming, not about doing, right? Not just about doing. They're always about becoming something. The Beast, in Beauty and the Beast, goes through his tribulations, and Belle, or whoever the original story was, ends up sacrificing and doing all the things that was needed for the beast to become a man. And then the man, who is a prince, is forever changed. And so is she. Neo from the Matrix goes from cubicle, day-to-day, mundane, rat race, person, guy who thinks he's in reality, but it turns out his reality is a simulation. His reality is not even real. He leaves it, suffers, becomes the one, and then redeems pretty much everybody, right? And he becomes and embraces who he is. That's our story. Every single person who is famous was at one time not famous. Every single person who was successful was at one time not successful. And it's not about the money, it's about the self-concept. It's about what you believe to be yourself to be. Person who wears gold chains like this, wears wristbands like this, who wears tight-fitted shirts like this, but is self-conscious, who believes he's ugly, who believes that people are staring at him, talking about him, that people are laughing at him. What do you think he's going to experience? He's going to experience people laughing at him and talking about him. He's going to experience the people thinking he's ugly, because while he might look good on the surface, the way he acts, stuttering and muttering and blaming other people, all these different things, the way he acts, he creates a vibe of victim mentality or whatever it might be, and people don't like it, and he becomes ugly. Like, he literally becomes ugly because of the way he acts. And that was me at one point. So, that said, somebody is calling me. That said, keep on imagining what you believe yourself to be, who you believe yourself to be. You will very quickly become that person. It doesn't take long. The world will literally bend to your will, and you will become that person. But you have to be persistent with it every night. From the first person, don't watch yourself doing it. Do it in your imagination. Feel it in your imagination. If it's talking to somebody, talk to them in your imagination. You will become that person, that man, that woman that you want to be.